from Fargo to tell us more about what the group does. Welcome, Pat. So good to see you.
Good to see you, Krista, and thank you so much for giving us time to explain our mission of Live Like Rach and talk about Rachel Ellingson, our daughter, who died very early from this awful disease.
Absolutely. And I am so sorry for your loss, Pat. I can't imagine what that was like. But how did this idea form, this nonprofit? How did it come to you, and why did you want to start it?
Well, it actually was an idea that Rachel presented. It was toward the end of her life. She was very, very sick. It was at a time when she was receiving treatment for 3.5 years at Memorial Sloan Kettering Hospital Cancer Treatment Center in New York City, where she had been living and working, and where she'd been finally diagnosed. She had been misdiagnosed several times before they finally reached the diagnosis, which is a common occurrence with people who were her age. She was 33, very young. And so toward the end of her life, she and I had talked about missions. Her mission was to try to get better. She obviously didn't. And a couple of days before she died, when she was barely able to speak, I was standing next to her. This is always a hard moment for me to share. But I was standing next to her, and I said, "Okay, Rach, I need you to tell me what my mission is in all of this." And she said, "Mom, I don't want anyone else to suffer through this." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll do what I can do." And so I am doing what I can do, and that is to raise awareness about what colorectal cancer is, especially in those people who are now aged 45 and under. This has become an epidemic in people who are so young that you wouldn't expect a diagnosis of early onset colorectal cancer, which is what happened to Rach. She was 33, and the doctors just didn't give a second thought to that kind of a diagnosis. So as a result, when she was diagnosed, she was at stage 4. And at that point, her chances of survival were only 13%. If she had been diagnosed at stage 1 or 2, her chances of diagnosis were 90%. So, as you can see, raising awareness is very, very important. We want these people to know what it is, what the symptoms are, and what it is. So, with early detection comes greater chances of survival.
Absolutely, Pat. That is a beautiful story, a heartbreaking story to hear. We saw some photos of Rachel being played while you were talking about her. One photo was of her in Greece, in Cyprus, I think you said. And
Yes.
she looks so happy, so filled with joy. The second photo is of her after receiving a cancer treatment. And so as much as, the important part of her cancer journey, I think there's another life that she lived, the life before cancer. So tell us a little bit more about Rachel was before and during cancer treatment.
Well, before and during, and even after, leading up to, when she passed, she didn't change. She was one of those people who was happy, full of life, and full of love. Everyone loved her and wanted to be her friend. If you met her, for a half an hour, you just loved her. She was outgoing and made friends so easily, even from the age of 12. If you met her, you were her friend. She never forgot you. She had the most infectious laugh. She just, when she laughed, everybody laughed. She was the happiest person, remained happy. When she was in the hospital, she didn't care about how she felt. She cared about how others felt. She made friends with her roommates in the hospital. when the doctors and the nurses came in to treat her on their daily rounds, the first item of business in the hospital room was, "How are you today, doctor? How was your trip in today? How are rounds going?" She was more concerned about them than she was about her.
Yeah.
So she was the most empathetic soul, I've ever known, and even until today, she was the one person who always reached out and cared about us.
So Pat, and unfortunately we're running out of time. These always go so quickly. What can people do to learn more or be more proactive about this cause? Rachel was so young when she was diagnosed. What can people do to catch those early warning signs?
So know the symptoms, and we have a website devoted to that. The website is livelikerach.org. There's a lot of information on that website. We have other information that we're passing out. March, of course, is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. And so we want you to go to livelikerach.org, where there is a plethora of information, but know the signs and symptoms of colorectal cancer. If you have any of them, see your doctor immediately. And if they persist, ask for a colonoscopy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time today, Pat. It's so nice to know that Rachel's memory is going to live on through the work that you're doing and the information that you're sharing.
Thank you so much for having us today.